Pregame.com.
And welcome back to Pregame.tv. Ken Thomson still by his lonesome. Of course, my pal Marco D'Angelo took off for Pittsburgh. He likes the weather so much. He knows it's still 105 here in Vegas. He's just going to stay back there in Pittsburgh for another week. He'll be back soon so we can do our Friday night videos together. And I'll make sure that I make everything official because, of course, that's his tagline that he's noted for here at pregame.com. Stellar week here for the Grinch, nickname I've had for over 3 decades now. But the Grinch kind of stealing a little Christmas gift early in the week. Dodgers, a couple come from behind victories over Toronto, down 8-3 in one game, come back and win that game, and then come back again the next night to win an improbable game where they were down to their final out. Little error there by Rasmus, and then get it into the 10th inning and win that game 8-3. So stole a couple games, came up with a total that came up short last night. Who'd have thunk it? You got C.J. Wilson and Daniel Straley. Between the two of them, 49 2/3 innings. Between the two, they had given up 5 runs in 49 2/3 last night. Yeah, actually had a bottom of an inning and then a top of an inning where 6 runs were scored. Neither man really in control, although Wilson got the better of it and Straley taken out after 4 1/3. So total fell short. Still on an 11-game ride right now as far as the sides in Major League Baseball. Anytime you can get that, you know there's some luck involved, but been pretty solid. So starting to get a good feel here as we're in the second half and starting to feel how teams are going to play and who's going to make moves, who's not going to make moves, who are the players, who are the pretenders, who's going to sell, who's going to be buying. And we saw the Texas Rangers make the biggest move, grabbing Matt Garza. Thought that was a big-time move. A lot of teams needed that coveted number 2 starter. Thought Baltimore might go after him. They grabbed Scott Feldman. Feldman is a guy that I'll be looking at on Saturday against the Boston Red Sox. The Orioles at home at Camden Yards, coming off dropping 3 of the last 4 against Kansas City after the Orioles had taken their first 3 games after the All-Star break against the Texas Rangers down in Arlington. Tough feat to do. And then, of course, they won the opener in Kansas City, but then they dropped the next 3. So back home to Camden Yards and a very big series against the front-running Boston Red Sox inside the American League East. And with Tampa Bay hot on their trail, now I'm filming this on Friday night. Baltimore ahead 3-0 on Boston early on in that game. Meanwhile, Tampa 6-1 lead over the Yankees. If those 2 decisions hold true, you could have Tampa actually leading the AL East by the end of Friday night. Saturday, back at Camden Yards, Feldman going against Ryan Dempster. And, of course, pitching kind of moved back a little bit with the Boston rainout yesterday. So Dempster getting an extra day's rest. Will that come into play? I don't know. I'm not impressed the way he's pitching. He hasn't been bad as far as earned runs, giving up 3, 2, 4, 3, pretty consistent, but he's only lasting 5.5 innings at the most. So as we look at Ryan Dempster, he's averaging exactly 5 innings pitched in his last 3 outings, all no decisions. He had actually lost another game. So really, Boston struggling. They have dropped 3 of their last 5 games. In those 3 losses, they have averaged 2 runs or less in those games. So a lineup, even though it's prolific and one of the best in the American League and in Major League Baseball, struggling in a couple of these games now to score runs consistently. So that's good for Baltimore. Camden Yards still a hitter's park. We'll have to see how Feldman does. Came over, got a no decision in his opening game against the White Sox. Then he got belted around pretty good in his second start there for the Baltimore Orioles. And then after that, he won his next 2 games. So I'm looking for Feldman to do more of the same. A little of that hometown flavor there at Camden Yards. And again, a bigger series for Baltimore than it is for Boston. And I know Boston, again, trying to fend off Tampa. But for Baltimore, if they're going to make this a 3-team race, and I'm not counting the Yankees out as of yet. Toronto, I am. Yankees, not as of yet. They grabbed Alfonso Soriano, kind of like putting a Band-Aid on a lineup that's really not hitting much. But it's the pitching staff that they need help with. And they're hoping that Michael Pineda can come back strong. But as far as this Oriole team, they need to take at least 2 out of 3 against Boston. They'd love to get a sweep, get right back in the thick of things in the American League East. They still have an outstanding shot to get a wild card. And if they get on a nice streak, there is no doubt that they can take care of business and win the AL East. They need help from Chris Davis. As good as he was in the first half, he's struggling mightily in the second half. He's getting some hits, but no power numbers, no home runs yet since the All-Star break. Did he put too much pressure on himself? Of course, he was part of the home run derby as well. And we've seen some guys get into that home run derby and then really struggle in the second half of the season. Bryce Harper also struggling as well. When you have a lineup of Davis, even though he's pressing, but Manny Machado, Adam Jones, Nick Markakis, Nate McLouth, the guy that kind of goes under the radar. McLouth hitting .282, has 25 stolen bases. He's been very effective. And a couple guys that aren't really hitting for average, .250, .251 with Matt Wieters and J.J. Hardy. But you've got 31 home runs between those two, so some more oomph in the lineup. Going to take Baltimore at home. Feldman between 115 and 120, a favorite around town. Best number we saw over at LVH was a -115. There's a lot of 120s around. So again, shop around, always get the best number. But I like Baltimore to take care of business. Ortiz has been good. Pedroia, Ellsbury, Nava, Napoli starting to hit for power. Iglesias, Carp, Victorino. Again, good lineups for both teams. But again, I'm going to take Baltimore, the hotter team of the two right now, and a bigger series for the hometown Orioles. So again, I'm going to make it official according to my pal Marco D'Angelo. And let me do that right now. Nearly rambled and forgot to make it official, but if I don't do that, Marco will make sure that I hear about it. I'll get that phone call from Pittsburgh tonight, and I don't need to get that from one of the families. Start dealing with the Italians back in Pittsburgh, it could be trouble. Anyway, so there it is. You've got Baltimore with Scott Feldman. He's settled in now with the new team, and again, the series very, very big for Baltimore. You're going to get, as my good pal Chuck Edel will say, you're going to get their best effort, and I think that'll be good enough. Boston, again, starting to come back to the pack just a little bit, and Tampa right now, lights out, could be the team to beat for both Baltimore and Boston. So there it is on pregame.tv. Saturday's play, take Baltimore at home with Scott Feldman over the Boston Red Sox and Ryan Dempster.